So I have a son who is 11 with special needs. Um, he started receiving specialized services already when he was about 2 years old. He started in speech therapy because he had a language delay. And by the time he was 3, he started seeing a developmental pediatrician because he had developmental delays in both language, social, and emotional, and some mild psychomotor delays. And by the time he was about 6 going on 7, we noticed that he was also having some psychiatric symptoms. But we noticed that he had tics already when he was a toddler. So he would blink his eyes a lot, and we noticed that there was something neurologically going on. And so he began seeing a psychiatrist when he was about 7 years old, and he also saw a, uh, a neurologist, for a pediatric neurologist, who diagnosed him with Tourette's. So he does have Tourette's disorder, and he's got really bad anxiety issues and developmental delays in general. He would be under what used to be called a pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified, which isn't in the DSM-5 currently. So he does receive services through the public school system under the autism spectrum umbrella. Um, he's not been diagnosed with autism by either of his physicians, but he does display some autistic traits. So he does get services, and he is receiving individual therapy through an outpatient licensed professional counselor, as well as services through Fairfax County Public School System, including an IEP. He's in an integrated classroom setting, so he is receiving general education in an inclusion setting, but he also is pretty bright when it comes to reading. And so he was referred when he was already in the 3rd grade to like a part-time advanced placement program. So he shines in certain areas, and other areas he struggles, obviously. So I just wanted to give a little information for people that might want to know about some of Alex's issues. Alex is a very gentle, kind child who's painfully self-aware of his issues. He unfortunately has had many episodes where he has expressed wanting to end his life because he feels different than the children that he goes to school with, or children in his neighborhood. From a very young age, he would say, "What? There's something wrong with my brain. Why is this happening to me? Why did I have to be different?" And so there's kind of a double-edged sword with that, because um, he has insight, but it also is very painful for him to have that insight. And as a result, he's had major depressive symptoms, as well as, pervasive anxiety. And so he has been receiving psychotropic medication for several years to help diminish some of these symptoms. Without it, he probably would not have been able to manage in the public school setting, or stay in a setting at home, because his symptoms would get so severe, even from an early age, that he would make threats of self-harm, and he would become sometimes aggressive towards my husband, his father. But from a parental standpoint, I know that it has been very painful for me. I have a history of my own anxiety and depressive symptoms, and unfortunately, it has exacerbated my own issues to see my son struggle the way he has. And um, I myself take medication to help mitigate my symptoms, so that I can work in the field that I'm in, because I work in mental health. I'm a mental health practitioner for over 20 years. So for me, it's been anxiety provoking to have a son that has the severity of symptoms that he has often displayed. He, for instance, will sometimes say obscenities because he has tics. And I worry that he'll say something inappropriate in a public setting with mixed company. So we often avoid going into novel social situations as a result of his symptoms. And we will go to dinner when there isn't a pandemic, but we'll always go when it's earlier for dinner time, when there aren't as many people in the restaurant, because the noise can be overstimulating to him and aggravate him. So there are things that we've had to change as a family in terms of our lifestyle. I have to make sure that I tell Alex if we're going to do something that's not part of our regular routine, to make sure that he doesn't get upset if there is a change. And there's been, for me, not only a lot of worry about what's going to happen to him when I'm not here. Like, is he going to be able to function on his own? Is he going to be taken advantage of by other people? I have thought about the need to have a trust for him, because I worry that he will, because he has a good heart and he is naive, that he could easily be taken, to the cleaners, so to speak, if he doesn't have some type of protection, financially speaking. But also, there's a grieving process that I've gone through, and I know my husband has gone through, thinking about the loss of not just the idea of having a child that's healthy and happy, but also the grief that I feel for him, because he feels a loss of being normal, quote unquote, and feeling that he's weird or not accepted. And he'll often ask me, "Am I weird, Mom?" And I said, "You know what? People have called me weird before, and I'd rather be weird than ordinary." And I think that that has helped to kind of give him perspective. But there is a lot of sadness that many of us as parents experience, and kind of the loss of the dream of having a child that makes friends easily, that will have a girlfriend or a boyfriend easily, that will be able to live independently without worries. And those things I don't know will happen for Alex, or at least as easily for him.